Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
I'm I'm doing great as well.
Right
It's
on, man.
I'm kind of jealous you can sit outside and not shiver. It's cold out here.
Man, it started off this morning probably in the 40s. I don't know, it's pretty nippy, but it's up probably 65 now. If you're in the sunlight, man, it's about as good as it gets. That's my favorite type of weather. The wind is laid down a little bit, nice and sunny out, just a little cold, but my kind of weather. So where are
Yeah.
you at right now?
Delaware.
Delaware. Well, yeah, it's probably quite a bit colder up there.
Yeah, it definitely is. But so today, obviously I try to listen to as much as I can, and I was listening to your song "Bad Reputation,"
Yeah.
and I have to say, if you ever hired me to be a guitar player, you would definitely yell at me for playing that song because I when I listen to a song and the first thing I want to do is just run and go grab my guitar, like that's like how I know like I really truly love a song. But you would be on the talk like being like, stop, because there's so many places where you can do like dime squeals and and
Oh yeah.
definitely take it out of the genre. It is, but I love how like your music it just has like this cool like polished sound to it.
Well,
You
thanks,
know what I
man.
mean?
Yeah.
And I was listening to the Texas to Tennessee podcast, and it said like you're not like that big of a fan of the studio, or you just would rather not spend all your time in there.
Man, it's just, for me, I enjoy it, and depending on how I'm going about it, like I've recorded records several different ways, and this last one we did was a little bit different, but the Bad Rep record and most of what you've heard was recorded in the studio with a band that is not like my band. It's just like a studio hired guys that come out, and they're flawless players. I mean, it's wild, like just with very little direction, you can just tell them to. Naturally, it always starts with play what you're feeling, and then if there's any sort of direction, I'll let them kind of know. But they're so versatile and they can really do everything. But that's great. I love to watch that. But like when it's up to me, like if I'm producing or if I'm having to like explain how I want things done, it's just I don't know. That part of it is kind of stressful for me because everything's under a microscope and I got all these pros that are looking at me and I'm just like I mean, I've done 5 records now and the players that we've had come out have played on hundreds of them. So it's like they probably know a lot better than I do about how to navigate certain situations, but um the producer that we've used that I used for this record that we were just finishing up was the same producer that produced the Bad Reputation record, and honestly, working with him takes a lot of the stress away, just because he is doing that kind of thing day to day. So he's very familiar with the lingo and how to talk and get his point across, but also he knows what I'm going for because like pretty much since the Bad Rep record, I've written most of my songs with Brent Anderson, who's produced several records now. But um, he's really made it kind of a different situation. It's a lot easier in the studio now that he's around. So, uh, as promised, here's MJ. Hey, buddy, I'm doing a podcast. Can I get with you in a minute? All right, I'll see you in just a little while.
Wait, can I just whisper something in your ear?
Okay, just whisper it real quick. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
No,
No big deal.
no,
I,
but
I'll be with you later. Love you. Okay.
No, it started all the
Okay. All right. I'll be with you later. All right. Sorry.
That's
Big
all
video
right.
game, very important video game question you had to ask me.
Ah, oh
Like
yeah,
I'll go all day without. I mean, not all day, but if they've got other things to do, they'll do them until I get on the phone, and then they need it. Like
yeah.
they need me right now.
That's how it always is. It's like
Yep.
I'll be trying to film something, and my dog will decide that he has to alert me of something.
Yeah, it's very important. We need to know right now. All right. Well, I'm back in action. So where I was talking about Brent.
Mhm.
Maybe I was done with the question. I don't know. I tend to ramble, but uh, now Brent has really made the studio's experience for me a lot different, and it's just nice having him around to be so familiar with my sound, but also with how to record and get the right sounds in the studio. So
Yeah,
nice having him around.
yeah. Well, they're great. They're great sounds. I really like your sound and how your songs are composed and stuff like that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
But yeah, on a funnier note, I googled you because I wanted to make some videos, some ads for the podcast, and you're a pretty big guy. You look like you take care of
Big like.
yourself. Like,
Oh well, yeah.
and and I was thinking in a friendly way, if there was one can left in a cooler and you had to wrestle an artist for it, who would you not want to wrestle?
Oh man, that's a good question. Um, you know, uh, I want to say this because he'd probably say the same thing about me. Co Wetzel,
Dude,
just
that's
because
exactly what I was going to say if you didn't have an answer, because
depends on
I heard
who's
Shane Smith.
thirstier.
Yeah, I heard Shane Smith say his wife limits the amount of time he can hang out with Co because they end up wrestling, and he said he's
You
a
know,
bear.
yeah, he's got more experience typically, and he's made a habit kind of out of having some friendly, maybe not so friendly squabbles with his band, like after shows. I mean, they're all best friends hugging the next day, but they'll have black eyes and busted lips, and they'll in the moment they're enjoying themselves, but it just seems like golly, like it would be really hard for me to have a friendly fight. The first time I get slapped in the face, like it's not going to be so friendly anymore.
Yeah,
I'm gonna lose control of something,
yeah,
but um, yeah,
that's
but he's definitely scrappy, so I wouldn't want to do it. And just because, like, I know him, I feel like I could say that. But I've certainly heard him say the same because they were talking about setting up some sort of musician fight club, and it was just at like no seriousness at all to it. But this was when it started to become known about these wrestling slap fights or whatever that they would have after. And quickly, I was just like, I don't want no part of this shit. Like, I don't. And he was like, well, that's kind of good because of all the people, like, they'd probably want to put us together, and I don't want to fight you. So, same.
that's funny. Because
Yeah.
that was like the first thing that came through my mind because I was looking at it and I was like, man, he's got some big arms.
Well, I try and stay in the gym. These kids have a way of humbling me, and when the first couple of years after we had them, I definitely slipped a little bit, got comfortable, and then yeah, I don't know, it was a year or two ago. My son challenged me to a race in the driveway, and I beat him, but it wasn't without pulling a groin in the process and barely beating him. So it's like, man, I think it's time we start getting back on the horse and taking health a little more seriously and picking up heavy shit so I can keep up with these kids because
Yeah,
they'll make you earn it.
yeah, got to keep that title belt.
That's right. I'm not going to give it up. They're going to have to earn it.
Yeah, that's funny. So you've been doing the country music thing for quite some time. Is there like something you haven't done that like it's just on your radar, like a venue or a show?
Man, I've had some bucket list places that I've been compiling over the years, and I've gotten a chance to check off some of them, and one in particular, Red Rocks Amphitheater has like I've never been there. From an artist perspective, I feel like it's one that is on a lot of our bucket lists, it seems. And we've got a show later this year with Riley Green and Ella Langley that we're playing out at Red Rocks, and so I'm looking forward to checking that one off. Next step is headlining it ourselves, but then also like Madison Square Garden. There's a somewhere in I don't know. Madison Square Garden seems kind of like almost borderline impossible for a Texas musician, but it's also like you got to have big goals, I feel like, and that's certainly one of them. But man, I don't know. There's a ton of arenas and venues scattered about that necessarily aren't the biggest places, but they're just like kind of historical. And we were lucky enough last year to play the Grand Ole Opry, and that was cool. And it seems like we might get a chance to play that one again before long. And a ton of others, but yeah, there's a lot, but I don't. I mean, we're busy enough. We play all the time, so probably 80 to 100 shows a year. We're out there gigging, so goals are fun, but it's also realistic. We play a lot of different places.
Yeah. You're the first person to ever say a venue in the Northeast, so
hey,
I
all right,
appreciate you for that.
You bet.
Because normally I say Delaware, and people don't know where that is, or they know the scene in Wayne's World, and it ends there. But like, not a lot of country artists have been up here in the Northeast.
We did last year. We got to tour a little bit with Brantley Gilbert, and we did. I forget which state fair it was, but it was in. I think it was in Indianapolis, or where's Lancaster at?
Oh, it's in PA. Wait, you played around York, probably?
Well, so it was. If I thought of it, I'll think of it in just a minute. But no, it was cool. I got to meet the folks from Lancaster Archery. I'm a bow hunter, and have been shopping with them in their online catalog for years, and so it was cool to meet some of the guys from there. And Brantley's a great dude. We've toured with him several times, and we're up there in Pittsburgh, and I should have been more prepared thinking about that, but either way, we don't get up there much, but certainly as a lot of country music fans out that way, so it's a fun place to play.
Yeah, especially in Lancaster. They do a lot of country out there. But like I like Brantley Gilbert's music, but the one thing, he's got like cool guitar riffs in the back, and I'm just like, why are they in the back? As a guitar player, like kick it in the sticks.
Yeah.
Like I love that riff, and I'm like, man, I just like when things are mixed like a rock. But
dude,
that's not like what country artists like. So I totally get that.
Oh man, so I don't know if you've caught the show recently or how long he's been doing this, but he's got this guitar player, Brantley does, that has these dreads that go down to past his butt. And he plays a Paul Reed Smith. He plays a bunch of different guitars, but I mean, absolutely shreds. And they do this part in the there's like a musical kind of interlude where the band takes over, and their guitar tech, his guitar tech actually comes up and just shreds a Van Halen song, and it gets heavy. I mean, it's metal heavy, like for probably 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, they get the lead out, dude. It's great. I love to see it. And some shredders in that camp. So yeah, sorry I keep hanging on the Brantley thing, but it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Definitely shredding guitars is it's still up my alley. But I also have like a newfound respect for the chicken pickers and what those guys can do. It's just you think you know the guitar, and then you just start listening to more stuff, being exposed to more stuff, and you're just like, man, I don't know anything about it. Like all those guys doing this crazy, like Jerry Reed. I didn't know who he was, and
Oh man.
I'm like that's the dude from the Waterboy. That's how I knew him. Had no
Yeah,
idea,
yeah.
no idea he was that skilled at guitar.
Oh man. No, he's great. The slipperiest, like greasiest licks you ever did hear, and he'd stack them a lot of times too. So like he'd be playing a harmony, and oh, it's just so wild to just appreciate. But same way, like this Waterboy and Smokey and the Bandit, I just knew him as an actor first, and then his music came around. I was like, wow, this guy's a picking fool.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah. It's funny. Like I wanted to see like your TikTok today. You have so many like TikTok clone
Oh,
accounts.
dude,
I was like, I have no idea which
which
one.
one's the real one?
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
but
that's same.
it's definitely you though, and it was cool. Like seeing you play piano and doing
Oh
some
yeah.
covers. Did you start on piano first? Was that like your?
So reluctantly, yes. I mean, that was the first instrument that I played when I was a kid. But like I came up in a musical family, and so as part of our kind of daily chores, playing an instrument for an hour every day was part of our duties, and it could be any instrument. But it just we had to spend some time with it, and I ended up sitting around just plunking around at the piano, and I was taking piano lessons, which I despised. I just absolutely hated going to lessons because I was in band and choir and stuff, and where reading music was kind of like the prerequisite. But excuse me, I just didn't enjoy that part of it. I could listen and hear things, and learning instruments that way seemed to be a more natural kind of just a more fun way of learning it. Just learning how to read music was just so boring to me. Um, so I would sit at the piano when I was playing, and I would just play stuff that sounded cool. But then my mom would be in the background. She'd be like, "That sounded nice. Play it again." I'm like, "I don't know what I did." And so I would play, and the lessons were terrible. But after a while, band in middle school and choir in high school, I I enjoyed those groups, playing with other people and being a part of a large ensemble was fun. But it wasn't until football was over, when I was a senior in high school, that I really dove into guitar. And they had been around for years. My dad and my brother learned how to play, and uh, tried to get me involved, but I just really wasn't that interested for some reason. But once I was done playing football, that was kind of my main focus at the time. Um, I didn't have anything else to do because I wasn't playing in college, and I had a lot of time to kill all of a sudden, not having practice or workouts or whatever. So I just got home from school and started playing guitar, and that was what I did until I left for college, and um, took the guitar with me, and that was where I kind of met some like-minded folks and started doing open mics, writing songs, and got my heart broke a few times, and so had some things to write about and talk about. But those first couple of years were just kind of like, I learned a bunch of cover songs and played open mics and sports bars and things for $100 or tips or whatever. But as I wrote more, I started getting more into the opening acts and playing places where people would buy a ticket to come see a show, trying to anyways. And I don't know, I've skipped a lot of steps, I'm sure, from when I started with piano, but uh, sorry, again, I'm a rambling fella, but uh, yeah, I don't know where to end this answer for your question initially, so I'll just keep on going if you need me
Yeah, that's cool.
to.
it's cool to hear the evolution of it. Of you go from because that I've done shows like that, and it's like they give you almost enough money for like your food and bar tab,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
you do it because you love it, and you also do it because you want to make a career of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. Some people, like, you ask them, and you can tell they're trying not to be conceited or anything. But I'll straight up tell somebody, they're like, "What'd you get into play guitar?" I said, "I wanted to play guitar, and I wanted to be every time I walked into a room, I wanted someone to be like, get that man a guitar.' You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I would love that. Anywhere you go, like to just to be like that cool guy, like Cody Canada. If he walks in anywhere and there's a guitar and a mic, it don't matter who's on it. If you're around that area, they're gonna be like, "Hey, Cody, you want to come up?" And
Yeah.
who wouldn't love that?
Exactly. No, I get it. And that was the same way. I didn't want to be the guy that shows up to the party with my guitar, but I wanted to be the guy that they were like, "Hey, don't you play? Like,
Y-
can you play us a song?" Like, once it's asked of you, then that's a whole different thing. It's like, "Oh,
Oh yeah,
I okay, if you need me to, I will." But I'm not gonna be like sitting there with my guitar, like tuning it up. You guys ready for me yet? Like, no, dude, we're not. We weren't.
yeah, right. Yeah,
But
the handy guitar. It's now a Mike Ryan party.
exactly.
And does that happen to you when you has that?
I mean, it's in certain situations. It's definitely happened. And when you play, like, there's a couple of bands that we used to run around with a lot. Then it was just kind of a given. After the show was over, we acoustic or two would make it up on the bus or outside in the parking lot of the hotel in the vans or whatever, and we'd play, or have just a few people that come hang around, or whoever made it on the bus. We just pass the guitar back and forth and song swap. But when it's just us, like, I don't typically, like, sometimes I'll keep a guitar on in the back lounge, just in case I gotta freshen up on a riff, or I get an idea that I got to put some music to. I can have it there to play, but it's by no means something that I encourage. Like, after the show, let's start another one on the bus and play around. Um, so I don't. I'm not against it, but I don't encourage it. I'm just kind of there for, if it leans in that direction or somebody wants it to happen, I'm not going to put up a fight about it. But I'm also, like, still not going to be the guy that shows up. You guys want me to play a song or something?
Yeah. Oh, look at this! I have my
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah, Ron Burgundy with the jazz flute that he pulls out of the. Oh, I'm not prepared. I couldn't possibly.
It really twists my arm.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, it has to be a cool feeling.
No, it's great, man. And early on, I especially remember some times where it was like, man, like, yeah, I didn't, not that I could hear the jaws hit the floor, but it was like the room changed. Like, they were just like, okay, sure, you're gonna play something, and then I start singing. They're like, whoa, like, this guy's not messing around. It's like, hell yeah, I was trying to tell you. But I can't say that to just anybody, but it happens, or it happened early on, and I would notice it, and maybe it happens still. I can't see all the reactions as they happen, but it's definitely a cool feeling whenever you can tell people are really digging what you're doing, and that was early on. I don't want to say I dealt with stage fright. I feel like everyone gets nervous, but for me, it was like those days leading up to the show, I was like trying to be out as much as I could, promoting, letting everybody know that I was having a show. And but then the night would come and I would get there and I would just be like, why did I do this to myself? Like, now I've got to perform. I've got to put on a show for these people. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, and then as soon as I would start the show, like, I'd get one song in, and it was just like everything just vanished. All that went away. And I was like, I'm here for a reason. This is why, uh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and here we are, and let's do it. So that was great. But early on, and still sometimes you're playing for crowds that are maybe really interested. Maybe they're just your more background music, or they're not really there for you. You're the opening act or whatever, and so you're not getting full engagement from the crowd. But there's always a few people that are giving it to you. There's like, I was like, well, okay, well, I'm not playing for everybody, but I'm playing for you. And I would
Yeah.
just lock into that one person. Not that I'm staring at them the whole time, but just feed off of their energy, because I feel like that's a necessity as a performer. Like, you have to know that what you're doing is at the very least appreciated by somebody. Um, Otherwise, you just can't put everything into it like you normally would if you've got a bunch of people that are just like, hell yeah, like they're feeling it. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen as much these days, but early on, for sure, if I didn't have the full crowd with me, I would have a couple of them anyway, and that's who I'd perform for and allow me to really do what I need to do and lock in. So
Yeah.
that was a fun part of it.
Now, with crowds of earlier times, before the cell phones, before all the distractions, do you think do you miss that crowd more than so today? You know what I mean? Not necessarily like
Well,
just the change of the behavior of
yeah, I mean, so it's hard to say because I feel like I came up. I don't know, like right when I started selling tickets, I feel like was right around the time that everyone started having phones in their pocket. So it was kind of a natural thing. Like, as long as I've been performing, I've had people that, they got their flash on or the whole time up close with the videos. I mean, sometimes it's weird, sometimes it's expected, but it's really never bothered me. Sometimes when we'll play venues where there's no barricade and the stage is kind of short, and so people will just walk right up in our kitchen, and they're like holding their phone in my face, like, say hi to my mom, or like, you know just take a picture, take a selfie with us. And like, I want to do that, but then as soon as I do, I'm just inviting 50 more people to do the same thing. And so I was like,
yeah.
shit, like, I wish there was just, I could get away with doing this once or twice, and then everyone just like, okay, well, he's done now. But they'll start hollering, and now, like, also they'll have notes they'll put on their phone, like they'll hold it up, and it's either a request of a song or a phone number, or it's like some sort of wild message that they would never show their mom. Um, but it's just, I've kind of grown up with it, so I don't know any different. But I do sometimes wonder what it was like when you had an arena full of people that didn't even know what a cell phone was, that didn't have any choice but to lock into what they were watching. Like,
Yeah, right?
no distraction at all. They're just there. Because it is annoying sometimes when you're playing and you're really getting into it, and then you look over and see somebody with their back to you, like texting on the phone. It's like, what are you doing in the front row? Like,
Oh,
why are you there? Why are you here
I
if you're
know.
not here? Like,
I
do that in the
I
back of the room.
I just went to a show this weekend and I was by people like that, and they're like scream talking and doing that. And the lead singer, he was looking, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna freak out. And I thought for sure he was gonna, not because like he knew I was there and he knows me, but because it ruined the show for people. Like, it's like, come on, man, like they're like right in front taking, it was a big group of people, and like they weren't into the music. I'm like, get out of the way, like,
Yeah,
please. Like,
yeah,
maybe you don't
exactly.
realize that, I'm trying. And then like also like people will be like, oh, you went to a show this weekend, where's your footage? I'm like, dude, that's my time.
Hmm.
I'm through a screen enough, and when these Texas guys come out here, like they're not coming back for like another year. So I need to absorb it 100% and enjoy my time. Now, if there's something I know that can help them, if they were like, hey man, especially if I talked to them before, they'd be like, hey man, we're gonna debut a new song. Could you get a little clip of it? Absolutely. But I'm always moving. Footage always sucks, and it's
Yeah.
just it's like taking video of fireworks. Why? It's not the same.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And with your cell phone microphone, like that's the worst part. Like you
Yeah.
want to feature the song, you want to be able to hear it, but it's just like it's so loud, you
Yeah.
can't hear anything clearly.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a necessary part of the business. You have to be at least somewhat social media savvy, but it does kind of bum me out every once in a while, when people are more concerned about getting the right picture and they just miss out on 3 or 4 songs at a time because they're making a post and they're deleting and making it better and captioning it and all this shit. Like,
Yeah.
do this after. What do it's not like real time live. It doesn't have to be that way. But I mean, that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I still appreciate their business. It's nice to have them at the shows, even if they are on their phone the whole time. I'd rather have them there than sitting at home. So
Yeah. It's it's a weird kind of relationship.
yeah,
Yeah. It's especially like when I say like kids today, I'm like, put it in your pocket because
yeah,
you're gonna walk in the middle of the street or you're gonna run into a wall. Like, come
yeah,
on, man.
yeah. And no, and I had, and this probably ages me, maybe I don't know, but I grew up in a time where it was a yes sir, no sir when you're speaking with your elders, like
Mm-hmm.
respect at the very least. Like you don't call them bro or dude, you call them sir or by their name or whatever. If they tell you to call them a certain thing, you call them that. And there were these kids in the neighborhood just walking by the other day, and they let me know my dog was out, which was nice of them. But they were just like, "Hey, bruh, your dog's out, bruh," and I was like, where did we go? I mean, I've never met these kids. They were like 10, 12, whatever. I mean, I'm sure I'll see them around again, but it's like, golly, I want to just be like, no, it's Mr. Mike to you.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, don't call me bruh. I've dealt with that a little bit with my kids, but we nipped that quick. Like, no,
Yeah.
you call me dad. You're the only person there's 2 people in this world that get to call me dad, and that's what you're gonna call me. That's
Yeah.
it.
Dude, I totally agree. It's like my grandfather, he called me a man of 1,000 words a year. And he just said, how come you don't speak? I'm like, I was like, Pop, I love you, but I'm terrified of you. Like if I did something that he did not like, it was like you said, yes, sir, please, thank you. No, sir. God forbid, like I didn't say something like that. And the same, like, I remember like sitting down with my dad and finally became like a friend, and it was like kind of like a conversation where like, you don't have to, we become friends, we're gonna
Mhm.
grow old together because that too was, like, especially my mom, it's super different. It's just so weird. I don't get it. Why would you want that yourself? Like, I'd
Mhm.
be embarrassed out in the store to like that have like some kids have nicknames for their parents. It's like,
Oh, no.
yeah, I'm like, if it's like an endearing, loving thing, but no, not
Yeah.
like it's like I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
like, my youngest will call me big guy every once in a while. Big, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that, big guy
Yeah,
or big daddy, whatever. He doesn't use the big daddy much, but I'm okay with that. But you're not gonna call me bruh. You're not gonna call me like there. Well, I don't know. There seems like there's a whole new language that's coming out that I'm just aware of. I don't know what it is, but
oh yeah,
skibbity and all this Riz cap talk. It's wild.
oh
I don't.
Cap, I can't stand it. Everything's fire.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm like, unless you're singing AC/DC, I don't want to hear fire. But yeah, I'm totally, yeah, 100% in agree with you.
Yep.
But there should definitely be a line drawn.
Yeah.
You probably, you remember, like you did something with your friend, their mom would hit you with a spoon. And
Oh
like,
yeah.
you couldn't go home and tell your parent, like, Mrs. What's her name struck me, and it was like, for what? And then
yeah, you got it again.
Yeah,
exactly.
Eggshells everywhere.
Same. It was always the worst when we get in trouble, like when Dad was away and it was just Mom, because she'd get after us when we were there right at the time, but then we were going to get it again whenever Dad made it home. It's like, oh no, and the fear of the anticipation was worse than the actual. Like we got spanked every once in a while. It wasn't a big deal, it's just the world we grew up in. But it wasn't ever as bad. It was just like knowing that it's coming. You're just not sure when. It's like, oh man, that was worse than the actual punishment itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but a healthy fear of your old man is not a bad thing. I mean, it's not like I'm scared of him, and I've never been scared of him, but definitely don't want to see him get fired up because hell's coming with him.
Yeah. My dad used to always say, you got to go to sleep sometime. So,
yeah.
I'll get you. I'm like, all right. That's funny. But yeah, I was wondering, like, if you had like a dream collab with an artist, do you have one you want to do a collab with, or have you already
Man, so I haven't done a ton of collabs.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I would certainly. I've got one on this new record that's coming out. It's with Caitlin Butts. It's a duet that I wrote with Cody Johnson years ago, and it was just finding the right person. I mean, I don't have a ton of friends in the business, like female artists. I've got a handful of them, but a lot of them that I am friends with have record deals, and so getting them to do it to duet is a little trickier.
Yeah.
But Caitlin has been a good friend, and she got a fantastic voice. She absolutely killed it on this one. I can't wait to share it with everyone. But as far as like dream collabs, man, I've always been a big Stapleton fan, and so I would love to mix it up with him. But I mean, if we're going dreams, like shit, dude. Stevie Wonder, Elton John, those are a couple of my favorite vocalists from like my childhood. Don Henley, also of the Eagles. Those would be pretty cool collabs there. But I mean, realistically, I feel like I've run into we had similar circles with Chris Stapleton, and written with a lot of the same people, cut some of his tunes. It's at least maybe possible, but I don't know. That would be a really cool thing for me. I just got a lot of respect for him, his songwriting, and his powerhouse vocal. He's a singing fool, man.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It's somebody tagged me in a video. It said, before anybody knew who Chris Stapleton was, and he was just as great as he is today. I'm like, how can this happen?
Yeah.
Of someone with that magnitude of a voice, like you should just be able to walk into any label, and just like, even like whoever's sitting at the front desk, just sing to them. They'd be like, they walked in.
Yeah. Give them the keys to the studio.
Yeah.
Like,
the guy we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
But that would be a cool collab. I'm excited. Caitlin, she's awesome. I love her voice, and
Hell
she's
yeah.
I got to meet her a bunch of times and hang out with her, and she's great. Because
Yeah.
coming
Tons of
from
personality.
yeah,
She's awesome.
yeah, some of her comments, how she snaps back at people, like I would not want to mess online or in person with somebody that Caitlin Butts considers a friend because she is fast. Her tongue is a razor, and I love
Yeah.
that. Like somebody said something about Shelby Stone, before you know it, boom, Caitlin's on like got a picture of him, and just she's like, "How you gonna say this with this face?" and blah blah blah. And I was just like, man, you don't want to be on the bad side of Caitlin. But then you
No,
meet her, and
I
she's
wouldn't.
like, "Hey, how's it going?" And
No, she's so bubbly and friendly. Every interaction that I've had has been that way too. And by all accounts, she's just as sweet as she can be. But yeah, definitely capable. I mean, there's you listen to some of those songs, and she's got some darkness in her for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
But I mean, I think all the best ones all do. Like, there's just some stories, like not necessarily bad things that have happened. I don't know a ton about her upbringing or anything like that. But no, it's just it's cool to see like songwriting unveil some of these, you know, tendencies that people have. But um, now Caitlin's awesome, dude. She's been, and I've been fortunate. I've known her a long time. I mean, we've run in the same circles playing for probably 10 years, and so it was kind of a natural thing when I was trying to figure out who we could get to come sing this one, and I was pumped when she was available, and she somewhat local. We recorded just outside of Nashville, um, but yeah, I mean, she's got some cool songs, and some, you know, they're fun, but some of them are just like, damn, dude, don't piss her off because she
yeah.
knows she's like she got the whole Doug already. Like, she'll take you there.
That's funny. Yeah, that new song she has out is hilarious. You think if you weren't listening to the lyrics, you would think it's a happy, fun song, and then you like listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
this is dark.
Mm-hmm. But she'll do it with a smile too.
Yeah, yeah. I got to see her live a couple times, and like, it's amazing. Like, she sounds the exact same way on record as she does live, and
Hmm.
do it back to back. Uh, the you know the very next day, just to
Yep.
have that type of voice, and then be able to do it all again and still talk. Because I know a lot of artists, if you sing like that, like on their days off, they will sparingly talk.
Oh yeah.
But
I've
do you have to
I've
do that?
not typically. I mean, there's definitely been some times, you know, if I get some kind of a cold or whatever, if we've got a long stretch where I'm playing 4 or 5 shows a week, or doing that kind of thing, it'll take its toll after a while. But you know, I've been conditioned for this kind of work for a long time, and uh, most of the time I don't really have to worry about it. What gets me more than anything though is I try and limit the time at the merch booth after the shows, because they just have the music so loud, and I have to try and talk over it when I'm visiting with people, and I'll gas out quick trying to do that. But um, yeah, I mean, I've just been, you know, kind of a road dog for a long time now, and we'll play 100 shows a year, and so that's just the way that it works. And I can't be 100% every night, but I can get, you know, I the way that I sing, and there's only a couple of songs that really require max effort. A lot of the other ones, they're fun. Not that they're boring by any means. They're just not the highest notes that I can sing sustained. But those are fun to do too. It's just I got to dial it back sometimes, and there's also extra things that I'll do if I'm feeling good. Like, I can move around vocally and do some other stuff that I'm hearing um, in the moment. But if you're not 100%, you just got to dial that back a little bit because nobody wants to hear a crack, big old crack when you go for a high note and don't quite get there. Oh, you should have just stayed down here, you dumbass. But now everybody knows you can't sing that note.
Yeah.
But no, man. Yeah, Caitlin's a road dog too. She's been gigging for a long time, and it's no surprise to hear that she was carrying on just the same night after night because she's good. Been doing it a while too. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love her sound. It's in like the heavy metal world, there's not a lot of female singers. That was like one of the cool things about getting into like the Texas country and the Oklahoma red dirt. There's a lot of females in the industry, and I don't know if you saw her speech. I didn't realize that they have quite a bit of a struggle getting spots on festivals and shows, and the more I talk to the female artists, I was like, man, I had no idea. I was like, that's a shame because it's definitely it's different frequencies you're not going to hear from a male voice, and it just cuts different, and I found myself I really enjoy hearing it. But
no, man, we love to see it too, and I don't know, if there's an underlying reason for it, but it's certainly nice to see whenever we get some female acts on the bill as well. I mean, there's a handful of them that tour around in Texas too that we see from time to time, but a lot of times we're all doing the same thing but on completely different schedules, and so we don't get to really see a ton of our buddies frequently, and these festivals are a nice opportunity not only to play for bigger crowds but also to hang with your buds. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I've certainly played a lot of shows with them. Looking forward to playing more, but I don't know like the answer as far as getting more of them out. I don't understand what the struggle is. I mean, I what their struggle is. I don't understand what the promoter side of it is. If they need to have a certain number of other acts, or I don't know what their thresholds are. But we just take the offers we get, go play them if it makes sense.
Yeah. Now, do you prefer your own shows or festivals, or just equally?
Man, having a good mix of both, I feel like is fun. I mean, I wouldn't want to do too many festivals because for one, there's a lot of times you're farther out, you're not as close to getting into town and just having your kind of creature comfort things like going to the gym or going to go get a bite to eat, whatever. Sometimes that festival fair food or the best barbecue in the world is not so good. So it's just good to have options. But then, you can also kind of get spoiled with those big crowds because naturally people are kind of fired up a little more so than they would be on a normal Friday or Saturday. And there is something about the outdoor atmosphere, and I'll stand by this. I feel like the best set of any festival is the one that starts in the daylight and ends at nighttime, like the 8 to 9 o'clock hour. Like when the sun goes down, there's a noticeable like energy about the audience that changes, and sometimes the headliner is like one of the worst sets, like that you get a really good support act or whatever, and the headliner doesn't go on until 11:30, and people have been out in this field for 10 hours, and they'll catch a half of the headliner set and then start heading to the door to beat traffic or whatever it is. And so you watch these big crowds disappear as the headliner, which kind of sucks, but you're in the spot and you're probably making the most, but it sucks to watch people leave. But that the spot or two before the headliner on those festivals, especially the one right when the sun goes down, is always my favorite slot because it's just, I don't know, something happens to the people when that sun goes down.
That's interesting, and I'm definitely definitely going to be paying attention when that twilight starts happening, because
Yeah.
that's a really interesting point.
And from a photography perspective, you're in the golden hour too, so you get all those good shots, with the natural lighting. But then, you still get the taste, because it always sucks to play these festivals where you have this big giant light rig on stage, but your whole set is during the day, and so nobody can see any of the lights at all. They're not working. They're on, they're going, doing their thing, but they just don't have a real presence. But as soon as it gets dark, now that sets the backdrop for this light show, and you kind of get the taste of both worlds, and I've always appreciated that. I won't say no to headlining shows of those kind either. If they want me to be in that slot, I'll happily play the gig. But yeah, that's just something I've noticed throughout the years. It's a fun time to play when the sun goes down.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, if anybody in college is looking to do a paper, it's the Mike Ryan theory of the best time to play a festival. Maybe there's some
Yeah.
science behind it. Maybe you just naturally found the algorithm.
Hey, man, and that would be, I mean, I don't know if there's a class that it makes sense to do this for, but have a nice peer review study where you go out, you got to go to a dozen concerts, and they've all got to be outside, or a dozen festivals. It's for research. It's for college.
Yeah.
You get college credit. I would go to that class.
Yeah,
I
right.
would show up every day.
I'd hate to be in the control group where you don't get to do anything.
Yeah.
Just stay in the auditorium and watch.
Yeah. They'll get their buddy to FaceTime them. Hey,
Yeah.
let me watch from the back.
Yeah. That's funny. That would be wild if someone wrote a paper about that. But you never know the power of the internet. But I guess another if you had to create a soundtrack of your life, what is there a song that you have of yours that you would like to be representing? Dude, I can't talk.
Man, it's hard to pick an outright favorite.
Yeah.
But I have said the for different periods kind of my life, I feel like my high school years, the soundtrack that I've always envisioned is Robert Earl Keen's Walking Distance album, peppered in with a few other of his hits, because I was just listening to that all the time. And this was in I call it, say, a mixtape, but it was really a mixed CD where you just burn all your favorite songs on a CD and then go. I did it a little bit, but my best bud from high school, he would burn a new CD every day, and a lot of them had the same songs on it, but he'd change a few in and out. But there's just always Robert Earl Keen playing in the background. He's one of our favorites, but also, I mean, there was a point in college when I started playing guitar that I just couldn't get enough blues, Stevie Ray Vaughan and John Mayer and that kind of stuff. That Continuum album was a heavy rotation type of an album for me in the college years. And a lot of just guitar heavy music. Brad Paisley, ZZ Top, Pink Floyd, just a lot of those guitar tones that I was really not capable of producing on my own, but aspiring to. So
your guitar tone now, are you? Is it like right where you want it to be?
no, we're dialing it in. See, I've got a new rig. I've been playing a Kemper for a while, which I've just never really fully understood. I had some other guitar players in the band that set me up with it and got some tones that I was comfortable with, and have been using those for a couple of years. But with this new record, we recorded a bunch in Brent's studio, and it's called a fractal.
Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure with the ins and outs of how it works, but essentially it alleviates having a whole pedal board worth of pedals, and you don't have to do all this tap dancing to get your tones. You can just kind of preset things. And something that we're doing, going to be doing very soon, that I'm looking forward to, is taking the actual tones from this record that we recorded and putting them on my board. So every night I'm playing the same exact tones that we used to record the songs. And it definitely takes a little bit of dialing in, and getting familiar with. But once I've got it, now I've got, 9 patches where I just have everything set up, with
Yeah.
even I can just hit my tap tempo to have the delays and tremolos and stuff do what I need to. But it's nice not having to do the tap dance, which for years I did. I had the GarageBand set up with all the pedals, but once I got a wireless mic, I really enjoy being able to work the stage with that. But now I'm away from my pedals, and I having to like focus on my pedal board when I'm trying to tell a story or engage an audience. It was just like impossible for me to multitask. So I just decided, well, I'm not a lead guitar player. I can play some, but I don't need to be doing all this shit when I'm playing. I just need to worry about entertaining folks. I've got a really good lead guitar player over here that will tap dance the night away with his pedal board and do everything he needs to. But for me, simple is better. And having one switch that can activate what would be 4 or 5 different pedals is pretty handy. So
Yeah, and you get the same sound everywhere you go. That's what
exactly.
I love about them.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, once we switched to in-ear monitors, I didn't have the organic sound of the amp coming from behind me anymore anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't need to have an amp on stage. We'd put it behind stage or off stage to make the front of house mix work a lot better. The sound engineers really appreciate that. But while we're putting it off stage, why do we need an amp in the first place? I can just have all this in my pedal board, and I just saved 50 pounds and an extra road case in the trailer that has to come in and out every night. So, it's cool to do, and I still will always appreciate the sound of a guitar plugged straight into an amp, maybe with a pedal or two. But the room sound is always the best. But night after night, it's just hard to really do that efficiently. So we max out on the efficiency on the road.
Yeah.
At the sacrifice of some organic, natural tube amp sounds. But you take what you get.
Yeah, and you can fly with your entire rig on a carry-on.
Yeah, right here. It's just in a case.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I just laugh when the people that call themselves a tube purist, and then you go to their show and they're like, I gotta have the air being pushed, man. And you look up and they have $100 in-ears. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, what are you doing?
It still sounds tinny in there. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I just never understood it. It's especially because Torn's expensive, and if you're not in a bus, you're just staying in a hotel, you can bring all your stuff in and not, have it stolen, not have stuff like that happen. It's just easier.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But yeah, we're coming up on an hour. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? I know you said you wanted to do an hour.
Man, no, I mean I'm good to go. I feel like we covered some good ground. I wish I had more of a roadmap as far as like release for these new songs to let you know about. We've recorded most of it. It's in the mixing phase now. We may have some overdubs to do at some point, but I mean 95% of the record is done. But I can't say for certain when it's going to be out. So that's that, but it is done and won't be long. I know that.
Nice. So definitely within the year.
Oh yeah, 2025 release for sure.
Nice. Yeah, it's always complicated thing to release an album. It's
Oh, yeah.
especially when you have songs that are, they mean something to you. Because when you set them out, you want them to do well, and I always feel bad when someone releases their best stuff, but somebody else releases their best stuff, and it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially like the more you listen to artists, the more like, even if you don't know them, it's weird. Like you get like a personal connection to them, and you want to see everybody do good, and it's just weird. It's just, I mean, it's just what, if you love music, that's just what happens. That's part of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's definitely a weird thing, because you probably see it at the Merce booth, but people come up with the big smiles. Somebody you never met in your whole life, you might have made a profound impact on a
Oh,
situation you were
yeah.
having. It's incredible.
No, that's something that I never take lightly, man. I never, yeah, I get to hear often, how just something that I wrote, a song, maybe it was recently or it could have been years ago, like something that I did got that person through a really tough time, or really, like, they were talking about soundtrack stuff. That's happened too. It's like, man, I just feel like so many times when I hear your songs, it just like reminds me of, this one summer or whatever that we were doing, any number of things. But to have that kind of a profound effect on somebody that I've never even met, uh, is a really cool thing. And I like to think I get more opportunities than most people to make somebody's day. Um, and a lot of times it happens without me even knowing. But especially like if someone's gonna take the time and has the courage to come up and say hello, because I'm the same. I'm like, I'll see people, that other artists or people like that have had some sort of effect on me, and I'll get kind of shy around them. Like, I don't want to bother them, let them do their thing. But when somebody says hello and lets me know, that's just like it's a really special thing, and it sometimes can take a certain amount of courage, um, which is why, I'm happy to take a picture and sign something if they want, say hello and talk for a few minutes. Um, because it's just, I don't know, man, that means a whole lot to people. And the last thing I'd want to do is blow them off, when
Yeah.
they all they wanted was a handshake or to say hello. Because they might tell one or two people if I'm real nice, but they'll tell 50 people if I'm an asshole. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah,
that
man.
Mike Ryan, that son of a bitch, all I wanted was a signed ball cap, and he said no. But anyway, it's a wild business, man. It's entertainment is it's fun. Certainly not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of swings, ups and
Yeah.
downs. But I got a great family, and the support has never been an issue, and so that's good. And I've taken stock of most other things that I could potentially do professionally, and nothing that I would be remotely interested in, or that I'm half-ass good at. Compared to, I mean, music is it's what I'm best suited for, so I'll just continue doing this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, it's a wild business for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, many facets.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, man, thank you for coming on.
You bet. Yeah, man. Nice talking to you.
Yes.
And no, I'm looking forward to hearing this when it comes out. How do y'all work the release? Is it you have like editing and chopping it up, or do you just put it out full form just like this?
Yeah, yeah. This one would be easy. There was no technical difficulties or anything. But yeah, I typically, um, sometimes Fridays are just, if I'm by the computer, I'll
Cool.
just put it up. I don't really have like
Excellent.
a release date, but it'll definitely be up soon.
Right on, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. It's been it's been nice,
Yeah,
and
man.
I hope everything in Delaware is working out for you.
Yeah.
Sunny days aren't far away.
I know, right? I just can't stand coming home and if I have something to like do outside, you get like 30 minutes to do it. I'm so
Before the
ready.
frostbite sets in.
Well, the frost and the sun going down.
Oh yeah. So I guess y'all have shorter days up there, huh?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's my least favorite time of year. Snow's fun, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna be out in the sun.
yeah. No, I get it. And I've always, it's probably because I'm from Texas and I've never lived in like a snow state. It'll snow sometimes here, but it doesn't stick around much typically. But yeah, winter has always been one of my favorite times of year because I like it when it's cold. I feel like it's easier to cool off or to warm up than it is to cool off. When
Yeah,
it's 120 degrees down here in summer, it's like, golly, I can't stand to be outside. So,
yeah, that's hot.
uh, but anyway, we have milder winters, so I guess that's why I appreciate these Texas winters down here. But
Yeah,
snow's fun too. I just never had to live in it.
yeah. It is. It's cold. I'm
So, do you
done.
have to like shovel your driveway or your sidewalk every day? Yeah,
No,
how's that
no.
work?
Well, it snowed a couple times. I have like a really big snow blower, so
Okay.
it just it's designed for someone that's 5'4", so it's hard on my back, but it's so much easier to shovel.
Yeah.
Like I just walk like a hunchback. It's just not fun, but I try not to shovel. 'Cause
No. Well, I would probably do the same if I was living there. I would have the Binford 9000 snow blower.
yeah,
It's just something that could get it done quick.
yeah.
Burns diesel.
Right. Oh, that's
But
funny.
anyway, well, I appreciate you talking to me, man.
Yeah, appreciate you talking.
I'll be
So,
looking forward to seeing this one up, and I'll share it among socials when it does. And if we find ourselves in Delaware somewhere, I'll maybe meet up sometime with you.
all right, yeah. And if I see you around here, or sometimes when I go to Texas, I'll try to catch a show.
10-4.
All right, man. Well,
All
you
right,
have a
buddy.
good rest of your night.
All right, we'll do. You too.
All right, see you, Mike.
Later.